This is a pod full of Saints, number 20 for the season. We changed the opening yet again. A podcast by St Albans City supporters for anybody else who's got nothing better to do for 45 minutes. Right, with myself, David Tavener, the ever smiling man with the finger on the controls, Jake Ellacott.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Lee. I'm really confused by the positivity of this opening. This is bizarre.
It'll never last,
hello.
buddy. Don't get used to it. It'll never last.
No.
And the man with his hand on the pint, Lee Wood.
Actually, Vino, David, but yes, you were right in some aspects. Good evening, boys. Good evening, everyone. Let's do this.
Well, this is a rare event. We are looking back on a St Albans City win, 3-2 at home to Maidstone United on Saturday, 25th of November. A cracking game, by far the best game of the season. 1-0 up, 2-1 down, 3-2 up. Superb. And there's so much to talk about here. Our performances all season have been so negative. The worst one of the season, Western-super-Mare a week ago. We were totally negative. We just wanted possession, do nothing with it. We've been crying out for City to be more attack-minded. We saw it on Saturday. We got at them. A number of back passes were down to a minimum. Passes along the back line, down to a minimum. What a difference it made, didn't it? A great afternoon for everyone.
It was. It was like a totally different team, wasn't it? I mean, if you contrast that to that Tuesday night game against Western, it was a whole new world, whole new ball game, almost you could say. It was genuinely astonishing to see how we came out against Maidstone, I thought, and it was really quite impressive at times. And for me, it reminded me a bit of the style of play we had at least last season. A bit, we're a bit more adventurous. We may concede a few. We may ride our luck at times, which we definitely did at Maidstone against Maidstone. Of course we did. But, if we can get shots away, get chances away and create openings, we'll score more of you than you and we'll come away with the 3 points. And as you say, Dave, it was entertaining and they had that passion and drive. And I thought, to me, the players actually looked like they were enjoying themselves out there on Saturday. And I think that was a big factor.
It's funny because the Maidstone went into it, one defeat in 16 games, but the telling statistic in that is 11 clean sheets. And yet in the first 20 minutes, we had 4 chances. What's his name? Lucas, I'm not going to get this. Cavallon. Great save with his leg early on from Gio Rasulu. Then also denied him with his chest as well in that opening 20 minutes. Used his midriff to deny Jack James before George Hoddle finally got the goal. From behind the goal lead, did it feel like it was coming? Because the chances were certainly coming along with remarkable frequency.
The chances were coming. What I would say is that I wasn't actually at the game on Saturday.
Oh.
But the one thing I would say is that I'm so glad to say that the lads have proved everyone wrong. I think it was quite trendy to be sort of putting the boot into Nobby when sort of things were going bad. And I have to say they were pretty justified because you referred there to the Western game. Before that, the Braintree game, second half of Stortford, any of the games for the preceding 6 weeks. But I think that it was good to see Nobby smiling. But getting back to the game, yes, I've looked at the highlights, both sets of highlights. And I think what is telling, yes, Taz, you're absolutely spot on, mate. We are creating chances. The one thing that we need to do now is celebrate the win, enjoy the win, but also more importantly, learn from it because there's real positive aspects to be taken out of that going into the games ahead.
Do you agree, Jake? That performance doesn't prove everybody wrong because it's a one-off so far, isn't it? They've now got to do it for several games running and throughout the season.
Absolutely. We need to do it throughout the season. I think a lot of fans have lost a bit of faith in this team in recent weeks, understandably, and lost a bit of faith in David Noble, and they've got to earn that back. And that will take a bit of time. Of course it is. We said last week, we've got a tough run of fixtures coming up. It's all well and good putting in a good display against Maidstone, picking up 3 points with the style of football we did. But if we go on to lose the next 2, in similar fashion to the way we did against Western, then you sort of lose all that momentum, don't you? So I think key now is building that momentum for Nobby and the team, getting some more positives going, and making sure they can just carry this on into the next few weeks, maybe into the Christmas fixtures, and just see, I can take losing by the odd goal or 2 if we play like that, to be honest. I think that is much more preferable to playing like we did against Western and losing by the odd goal like we did against Western.
In the post-match interview, you see Nobby's face, and so much of the pressure had gone from him. He was more relaxed. He was happier than he's been for a while. But before the game as well, I've got a Collar supporter. He said, "Do you think Nobby's lost the dressing room?" And he's not the first person to question it as well. And he said, "Could you look at the game against Western? We really gave it a go the last 10 minutes when we were down to 10 men, which is the sort of time you'd expect Nobby to want to keep the ball. So almost damage limitation. But was it a case of a player saying, 'Oh, what the hell, we'll go for it anyway'? And was it a case of Saturday, we'll go for it anyway? Surely that was how he wanted us to play Saturday."
I think it's quite a leap to suggest he's lost the dressing room. I think, speaking some of the players before the games that we've been to, certainly some of the away games, I think there's some shocks in there. I think he has sort of, thrust a few players into the side, which in positions they weren't really keen on. But that's fine. That's football. That is their job. I think the thing with David is that he's still learning, even though he's a year into the job now. He's coming across different types of problems and different types of issues, and I have to say he's not handled them all particularly well. That said, I think the players did a sterling job on Saturday, and hopefully now this is a time, as Jake said, to rebuild, to rekindle those relationships with the fans, but also with themselves, because you can see the players weren't exactly happy over the last sort of few months even. Jake alluded to it there. The players, they should be enjoying themselves. They should enjoy playing for Albans City. And hopefully, getting back to your point, Taz, there's no point putting in a performance like that and then go and lose the next 2 or 3 and going back to the old ways. I think that David should have taken a lot of elements out of Saturday's game, and hopefully we're not going to get back into the old ways where we're just going to let teams run all over us again.
It's funny because it only took us something like 65 seconds into the game to go from the level with the edge of our penalty area all the way back to Josh McNamara and our goal. And we thought, oh no, here we go again. But it wasn't like that. I don't know what you picked out, Jake, but for me, Jack James, who was getting down that wing, getting forward a lot more than we've seen him so far. He could have had a hat-trick. He had 2 excellent saves denied him, and he got a winning goal as well. And you look at our third goal, ball down in the corner, we had a quick throw. We didn't go backwards with it either. Dylan Farge threw it in. Mitchell Weiss played it back, knocked it in first time by Farge, and then came James round the back post. We haven't seen any of that all season. What positives did you spot, Jake?
Jack James is a great one to point out. It reminded me a little bit more of Devontae Stanley again from last season. That bit more marauding down that road, bit more freedom. Definitely not totally comparable, but at least it was an outlet there that we haven't had a lot this season. For me as well, Mitchell Weiss, I think, didn't have to drop as much into midfield. That was a big difference to me. He was a bit more forward thinking. And I thought that helped Rasulo in turn himself. They could link back together a bit more. And it wasn't just Rasulo chasing lost causes, which, to be honest, isn't the job he's in the team to do. We saw that against Western. But those are 2 really big positives. Another for me, Gautier at the back. He's a young lad. He seems to do well. And also Joe Partington. I think he didn't have the perfect performance. Far from it. He gave the ball away a couple of times, made a couple of mistakes. But, he did actually look like a bit of a leader at the back. I know he's appointed captain for the game, which was a bit of a surprise for us that saw the team sheet before the game. But back there, he did the job of getting his head on it, nodding it away, dealing with it, not being too... When he wasn't overthinking it, it was no nonsense. And that worked for me. And I just wonder if that could be a job he could sort of grow into for the rest of this season.
I don't know if you know the numpty that does the report for the NLP, Jake, but he only gave McNamara a 6 out of 10, which I think is somewhat harsh. I'm trying to think what he did wrong. He did a great tip over from Levi Amanchi, who went into the game with 18 goals, by the way, for the season, which isn't a bad return, 11 in the league. He did that tip over. In the one-on-one, he forced him wide, and the chance was lost. And there was 3 that Amanchi, he could have had a hat-trick, but he didn't. And I thought McNamara did a pretty good job. And fortunately for us, Amanchi, I say 18 goals, 6 in the previous 7 games. It didn't get on the score sheet again for us, or for them, I should say, against us.
Yeah, Manchi hit the bar as well, didn't he, early on in the
That's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought McNamara's played well. And Lee, we talked about this on Sunday, didn't we? That if you look at the keepers we've brought in recent years, particularly Dylan Berry last season, he wasn't exactly perfect from the start, was he? He took 4 or 5 games to really settle in, stop making a few silly mistakes, and get used to the defence in front of him. And hopefully that's exactly the same for McNamara, because we're going to need him. If we're going to play the style of football where we're a bit more looking forward, and that leaves us a bit more open at the back, we're going to need him to do his job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to understand is that all of the players that have come in, I mean, Harvest made a very telling mistake in the middle of the park on Saturday. Hoddle made a mistake against Stortford, but other than that, I think Hoddle's been absolutely amazing since he's come back from injury. And I think if we can keep him fit and we can get him on the ball a little bit more in the key areas, I think he's going to be absolutely sensational for us. And could you just imagine when Zane comes back, both he and Hoddle sort of, causing havoc, and finally we're playing in the proper areas of the pitch. That's something that is a mouth-watering prospect as well. Players coming in, it's going to be all hands to the pump, because the thing is, our squad, it's got a fragility to it, it's got a vulnerability to it, and I think despite the fact that players are going to be dropped and rested or whatever, they're going to be needed. Because we haven't got the resources, or it seems seemingly that he's going to bring in loads of faces, total overhaul. David hasn't panicked in that regard, or have the owners. If one thing, he's kept faith in the players that he's brought in over the course of the summer. Hasn't always worked, but on the whole, he's willing to sort of do that. One thing I did like about these new players coming in, Jake, is the fact that, that they are prepared to put the foot in. They're prepared to do the hard yards. Sometimes you get loanies who float around for a bit, try it, and become something that they're not. These fellas that are in, they're going to get their stuck. They're going to get stuck in, and they're going to do the very, very best for the club. And that's all we can really, really ask for. And still, it is, despite the result, it's still a very difficult situation the club finds themselves in on the back of 6 weeks of very, very poor performances.
You mentioned George Hoddle, and he does look a terrific prospect. And of course, Glenn Hoddle's been at our recent games as well, watching him. It's nice to have some decent company down there. Not really met him yet. George looks great. He came from a Cambridge United youth team, last year's youth team. It's quite sensational. There's another player in there. Is it Glenn McConnell? I don't think I've mentioned him before.
Oh, God.
And it's hopefully these players will go on to have a career, which we think they're going to have, a good one from what we've seen so far. Of course, we've got another new signing since then, haven't we? Should we have a go at this? Harun Rashid Fahim Hamid, and I'm only going to do that once. And he comes in as Andronicus Giorgio moves out. You think that's just a squad strengthening rather than someone going straight into the first team? You suspect we may bring in some more loan players to go into that team, well, pretty soon, you'd have thought, really. Even though the injuries might start clearing up soon.
Yeah, I don't think Giorgio's departure is particularly surprising. Nice lad by all accounts, but it just didn't have any impact, for me, any impact at all. I mean, everyone loves a trier, but unfortunately, I don't really. He didn't bring anything to the side that I could see. But look, he tried. But the fact is, we're still getting these fresh faces in, fellas. And I think it's the right time to do that, because we've got some, as Jake said, some big games coming up, and the frequency of which, especially over the festive period, is going to be key for us. We don't want to be going into the new year off the back of, 2 unfortunate results in the derbies. So we're going to need squad players, we're going to need fresh faces, and we want to have that continuation as well going forward. One good result is going to be soon undone if we go back to our old ways, and we need people that are fit, people that are key, and people that are going to come in and play as well.
Because Andronicus Giorgio, I think one of the things he's going to be remembered for this season is the number of shots he put out the ground. He got himself in good positions, around the edge of the box, and bing, back went his head. The ball always going over the top. Now, do you remember on Saturday, Jake, Liam Soul going down the right for Maidstone, cut inside? He did exactly the same thing. But when he got substituted before full time. You lot going a bit goal, gave him a decent hand.
Did we? I don't remember me doing it. So yeah, it was good to see Liam back. A few glimpses of the old Liam, but he seems to be enjoying life at Maidstone. So fair enough. I think we should give a mention to Hamid as well, our new signing. That he's a bit of a historical. Well, he's very popular. It turns out in Pakistan, on social media, everyone's gone mental about him. All the Pakistan football supporters. It's unbelievable on there. So many of them. They love him. And of course, he did score, I believe, in their World Cup qualifying match against Cambodia on his debut for their first ever win, I believe, looking at Wikipedia. I know the most reliable source. So good to see. And Dave, I mean, I'd love for you to find that stat one day of any other Saints players that have scored in sort of World Cup qualifiers, if there are any others. I'm sure there might be one or two, but that's it's not a bad record there, is it?
It's funny. His background is what QPR youth, QPR under 21s. Had a month on loan with Kingstonian at the end of last season. Got released by QPR at the end of the season. Hasn't played in the first team. And there he is with 5 caps for Pakistan. So we've now got 2 internationals at the club. So promotion is, well, it's a gimme, isn't it, really?
If you say so.
Okay, maybe we're lacking on that front. Right, well, we touched on we haven't touched on the second goal yet. Lovely through ball by Gio Rasulu. A couple of times he gave the ball away cheaply, but other times he was at his best on Saturday as well. And one of them was that through ball. Shaun Jeffers, lovely finish. Keeper ran the right way, but he still got it right in the corner. And that's the old Shaun.
It was, and it was a great run from Shaun, and it was really good that he could be picked out. And I have to say, you know, we've talked about Nobby's substitutions this season. They've not necessarily worked for. It's been a little while since he was willing to make those sort of changes when he first came in. But to be fair to him, taking off Blackman at halftime, who I think it's fair to say did not have a good first half, replacing him with Shaun, again, actually showing a little bit of attacking intent there that we haven't seen in a long time from Nobby, and it paying off. You have to give, you know, our hand to him. That was brilliant. We want to see more of that, don't we? We want to see, again, it leads into a bit more intent on Saturday and see where it took us. And I say it was great to see Shaun make that run, score that goal. And to be fair, for a bloke who's been on the bench most of the season, what is that? 5 goals now in all competitions. Second top scorer for us. I think he's all right, that Shaun.
Good. Well, I'm glad he's got your vote, Jake. I might sway a few people. So this coming Saturday, then, does Nobby go for the highly praised Shaun Jeffers by Jake Ellacott, or does he stick with Gio Rasulu up front, assuming Gio is fit?
I think he probably starts Gio. I think the one thing, the other sort of context with the Shaun Jeffers argument is that I think it's apparent now that a Canby isn't quite the answer that David hoped he would be when he brought him in. And I think that's pretty much forced his hand in terms of Shaun, the known entity and the known quality of striker. I think Canby's definitely got a role to play. Don't get me wrong, because as I said before, we're going to need all hands to the pump over the next month or 6 weeks. But I think maybe start with Rasulu, and then have those wide attackers feeding off of him. It causes a bit of havoc as well. As long as we're balanced and disciplined in terms of our shape, then perhaps bring Shaun on as well. But I think Shaun now is giving David Noble such a headache in terms of his scoring goals. He's making himself known. He's really becoming the Shaun of old now. He's getting himself, his confidence is back. So maybe Shaun's going to have a bigger part to play on Saturday. But I don't see any reason why he should maybe thrust him in just yet, given the fact that David likes that shape with that one up front with Rasulu. So who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. We don't know the injuries because Dylan Farge went off. He sort of twisted his knee late in the second half on Saturday. So it's all sorts of problems in that squad, which is probably going to have a bigger say on Nobby's selection than anything. Right. Okay, that's that.
Cheers, Dave.
Seamless as ever.
Go on then, Jake. You're about to say something, Jake.
I think for me, in an ideal world, it's the same starting 11 from Saturday after that result and performance. as long as we take it with the same approach of football. But then, having said that, we know it's going to be a tough place to go to, which I'm sure we'll get in a second. So, and with those injuries as well, Nobby's got more thinking to do. I mean, it's not like our injury list was long enough, really. We needed a few more. We've had a few come back. Let's replace them. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is still a hideously long injury list. But as we said earlier in the previous weeks, I think if he brought some of those other players back, he would have still played the same way. Hopefully now, any he brings back will play this way. And one we look at in particular is Ben Smith, who's a tidy player, keeps possession, but for a lot of people, he's not been attack-minded enough. And funny enough, in the last couple of games, before he got dropped on Saturday, he probably has shown a bit more of that forward passing, but everybody wants to see him do. We'd like to see him do that, get into more attacking positions. He's only a young player. He's still developing. He's shown what a good passer he can be, but in short passes, you see what I mean, to players just close to him. Do you think he's got it in him to open sides up? I think once he gets the confidence, he will have.
Yes, I think we've seen evidence of it, especially like early on in the games when we're sort of trying to press teams. His range of passing is there. I think he's got a good engine, and as you say, Tavs, he is young, but I would challenge anyone to really thrive in the situation that we've found ourselves in over the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. No one's really going to be excelling themselves when we're always chasing games and we're always being put under pressure. Tactically, we were inept at times. I didn't think that really suited him. He is a good player, and I'm pretty sure that he's going to be a very vital piece of this puzzle. When it comes to, especially as I say, we keep harping on about it. The next month is critical for us because there's a lot of games, and we don't really want to be getting ourselves into a rut of getting bad result after bad result again. We've now overcome that hurdle. We've got a really important performance and win. We now need players like Ben Smith to help sort of kickstart us and take us forward.
Well, this coming Saturday, we're off to Plymouth to play Truro City, which obviously you would play them at Plymouth. That's why their new ground gets built, and they're having to share there. Bit of doubt whether the game could go on. They've had a couple called off down there already, and it could be a damp weeks. But fingers crossed, we'll be going off and go down. I think the players' coach, going 7:30. So goodness knows what time Plymouth are going to do an inspection, if they are doing one. They've been in bad form of late. They were 9 without a win, until they got a shock win, 2-1 at Chelmsford on Saturday. But as we know, anybody can win at Chelmsford. It's one of these games where you feel if we are going to play as we did last Saturday on the front foot, you really would fancy our chances.
Absolutely. I don't see why we should change our approach there. It might be difficult, might be heavy going. With the weather as well this week, it looks like it's going to be cold. The pitch won't be ideal, but we're in the National League South, for goodness sake. This isn't the Premier League. Let's not worry about that too much. We've got to go out there and apply ourselves.
Not.
And if we... No, not yet. 10 years. 10 years, Lee. But if we apply ourselves, we'll be absolutely fine, I'm sure. If we take it with the same approach we did Saturday, I don't see why we can't come out. I mean, the only concern is the injuries, isn't it? I think Dylan Farge could be a big miss if he is injured. Gio Rasulo, I mean, at least you've got Shaun there, haven't you, to come in. Another one is Emmanuel Harvest. I believe his loan will be up this week, won't it? It wasn't a 28-day loan initially. So will we extend that? You'd have thought so. If not, what do we do in that central midfield area? So it'd just be good to see us go out there and be positive again. I think that's the main thing for me, because if you've got that positivity, then at least, going out there, prove it, give Truro something hard and difficult to deal with. If we go there and sit back and wait for them to come onto us, I think that will lead us down the same path of causing issues and not being able to get a footing in the game. I know Maidstone game on Saturday, what we did great was we got a footing very early. I know Maidstone came back into it, but we maintained that footing throughout and we always looked to threat throughout. And hopefully we can do that against Truro.
But Truro have lost their last 3 home games, so it's in the bag. It's a win. Oh, hang on, we lost our last 3 games before Maidstone, home games. That's not an indicator, is it at all? Surely not. Well, great memories of Truro in the past when we went all the way down there. Were you there for the 7-3, Jake?
No, thankfully not. Well, I
Oh,
say
weren't you?
thankfully. It would have been a great one to be at.
7 different goal scorers.
Oh,
Oh, great days. Yeah. Oh, well, we shan't go on about that then if you weren't there. No.
just on your own word there, Dave.
That's
I
how
mean,
it
Well,
to
you
be
wonder
fair
how.
though, but didn't you have another? Wasn't it a midweek trip a couple of years ago, Dave? That proved to be quite enjoyable, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Tuesday night at Truro. Truro is the longest inland journey we've done in our history, even further than up to Stockton in the semi-final of the Amateur Cup when we played then at Maidstone Park, Middlesbrough. Truro is longer. And we went there for a Tuesday night. Ian Anderson was manager. I was on the coach. And again, they'd just been sharing, I think, with Plymouth Parkway even then. And they'd gone back. This is their first game back at Truro Road. And we got down there, I think it was 6 o'clock roughly. And it's pitch black. We're in the car park there. We go across the road. Lovely view of the city there, with all the lights and the cathedral and whatnot. Mind you, it's a new cathedral. It's not like our proper cathedral. And there's nobody in the ground. You think, oh, no, we're not still at Plymouth, are they? And suddenly some bloke comes wandering out. Hello. I can't do a Cornwall accent. And thankfully,
that
we
what I
were at
was,
the
was
right
it?
place. We were at the right.
Oh,
That was the game, I think, when they got a penalty, didn't they? Was it Jamie Sendle's white?
yes.
It was done for
Yeah.
handball, and it hit him clearly on the chest, and we got the video for it. And the referee said, "If I'm wrong," I was in the boardroom with him when they sorted it in afterwards. He said, "If I've got it wrong, I'll ring you in the morning and apologise." Well, he didn't, but actually, he saw it in the next pre-season game somewhere, and he apologised there. He did admit he got it wrong. But it cost us 3 points. So a rather long journey and no points. Great night.
Hopefully not the same on Saturday.
It bodes well, doesn't it, for Saturday, boys?
It really does. At least it's not as far on Saturday, I guess.
No, it's about 65 miles shorter, isn't it? So we'll be back before midnight this time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I've got some other things in a minute, but let's get the predictions out of the way. Jake, go first.
Let's go 3-1 Saints.
Lee, you're going to be equally positive?
No, I don't think so, fellas. I'm sorry. I'm very much a half glass empty sort of fella this week. Score draw. I think, the small steps at the minute, boys. I think I'm going to go for 1-1.
Fair enough.
1-0.
Dave, haven't we, long after that long trip, haven't we also got a county cup tie a few days later?
Oh, we do have to do that. Yes, anyway, well, I'll do my prediction later.
Hang on a
if
minute.
anyone's interested.
You've been lauding the county cup, games for bloody weeks, and now you've got one. You moan about it.
He's forgotten about
Right,
it. That's the problem.
Hearts Charity Cup next Tuesday, home to Hitchin Town.
Big game.
Semi-final. Bearing in mind in the last round we got 800 odd down there. So hopefully the media boys are woken up and getting a few more down there for that one as well. Should be interesting. Hitchin, they're riding high at the moment in whichever division they're in. Are they Southern League? What's it now? I can't remember.
Yeah, Southern League. Yeah.
Are in the promotion playoff places. Yeah, they've got a good record against us recently, I think, what I can remember. Apart from a 5-0 defeat and something. Confident? Because however small the Hearts Charity Cup is, to get in the final and win that, we desperately need a bit of silverware. So I hope we don't take it lightly.
And obviously, go on, Jack. I was to say, they've got, but Mark Burke, he always gets them playing good football. Lane Eady is in their side, and he's sort of spearheading them. He's spearheading their promotion charge. So, yeah, we don't take these lightly because I think, was it a few seasons ago, Tavs, that Hitchin came to our place in a county cup competition? I think they turned us over. So, yeah, but the thing is, people are going to thinking, okay, it's not the league game, but get down there. Get down to the park, support the boys because it's all about confidence building, and you heard David's plea in his post-match that, the fans do make a difference. And it would be really nice to have some of those packed league terraces transfer to these county cup games because it's still a Silver City game. It's still a first team fixture. get down there if you can and help support the boys.
Yeah, they turned us over on penalties last time, Lee. In fact, we've had 5 penalty shootouts against them. We won the first 3. They've won. No, we won the first 2. They've won all the last 3. So we're going to have to finish them off in normal time.
Yeah, I have memories of going down to their place a few years ago and James Russell having a bit of a stinker and then us losing the penalty shootout. James Russell now assistant goalkeeper coach at Chelsea. So there we go. I think one mentioned actually just looking at the ticketing website for the club for this game. Not that we, need to do the club's promotion for them, but it looks like tickets. Well, the tickets are reduced for the Hitchin game. It looks like adults are £6.50, concessions £5, younger tickets cheaper as well. So again, hopefully a sensible ticketing policy if that is correct on there. And hopefully that'll draw in a few more supporters to watch the game because on the face of it, I think it could be quite an entertaining fixture, similarly to the Hemel game.
Yeah, I look forward to it. You mentioned James Russell there, Rusty, our old goalkeeper, now coach at Chelsea, alongside another ex-Saint, Hassan Suleiman, who's been there, crikey, about 14, 15 years now, I think.
Oh, that's a name we haven't heard in a long while.
No, old little Hass, good little player.
No. See all this useful knowledge you have in your head, Dave?
On his computer.
Yeah, none of it's in the head. Come on then, let's do the predictions for Tuesday then.
Ooh. Yeah, okay. 2-1 Saints.
I'm going to go 1-1, win 5-3 on penalties.
Cool. Specifics.
It is, isn't it? It's a bit too, but he's a bit like that, isn't he, really?
Oh, hang on.
Talking of penalties, Dave, 2 viewers of the podcast, I think, well, a few actually, Matt Farmer, Aaron, and Reese Wynn, after some discussion in the pub on Saturday, asked, is this the first season where we've had 3 different first-team keepers save penalties in a season?
Oh, that's a good question. They've given that some thought, haven't they? Bloody hell.
Yes. Yes, there's a simple
either.
answer to that one. There you go. That didn't take long to sort out, did it? Yes. It's an incredible record we've had this season. If I had it up in front of me, I could give you some more stats. No, it's remarkable, isn't it? Go on then, name all 3 keepers.
I
mean, that's in the correct order.
MJ, Bentley, McNamara. I think that's them.
Well done. They should get you a drink for that, Jake. You deserve it. I've gone for a 2-0 win on Tuesday. I'll go for a Desmond on Saturday, 2-2.
Interesting.
Right. Last week I wore this shirt and it had a couple of inquiries about it. People asking about it. It's so impressed with this fashion item. Of course, some people make it look a fashion item. It's from the 96-97 season. Mallory Alloys were the company sponsoring it, the away kit as it was then, obviously not a home kit. Mallory Alloys, I can't remember the guy's name who ran it. Sadly, no longer with us. They were based in the High Street in St Albans, same office as, same fact building as Peter Lewis's company. Yeah, they were sponsors then. Right, and we've got a couple of other things, haven't we, Jake? From The Guardian. You spotted one of them, so we'll let you go first on that one.
Yeah, the first one I spotted posted today. Another great article on Alan Cochrane, who's been getting a lot of brilliant coverage at them recently after meeting David Beckham and the work he does with Brentford Penguins. So just put Alan Cochrane into Google and go on the news articles and it'll come up. And it's a really long, really, really detailed article about Alan, who was interviewed on here. And I think it has to be said is an absolutely top bloke. I think we'd all agree on that. So brilliant work, Alan.
It's the same as he was when he played for us, isn't he, Lee? He's just full of life. He just loves football. Football is his life.
But also he loves people. And I think this is testament to that as well. You know, the fact that just hours and years of his own time just to make others feel a bit better and using football as a tool for that as well. Absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you what, he deserves all the plaudits he's going to get now. Fantastic.
The other thing, again, extra thing again is the Guardian. We get sponsored by them. We should do, shouldn't we? A chap by the name of David Squires, who's a bit of an artist. Magnificent sketching he's done. It's a fantasy football game. It's called the Ultimate Fantasy Football Stadium in 50 favourite bits. And it's drawing. Clarence Park featured on there because of a tree, and the drawing is so true to life of a tree as it was, not as it is now, lying on its side in Clarence Park. And the other things, you've got the Dartford Man up there, superbly depicted. It's a great thing. If you get a chance, go on the Guardian website and you can have a look at that. And for 35 quid, you can secure yourself a copy. But it is brilliant, isn't it?
It's perfect.
It just made me sort of like reminisce of, I say, the good old days. But the good old days when you were like 8 and 9, and that's you used to remember leaning up against the tree watching the second half when we had all of about 200 fans in the ground. It was a shame that we were probably more famous for the tree than the quality of football that we played. Which is a bit unfair to Mitch's side in particular. But yeah, the article was fantastic, and it really did just sort of, bring back those memories of Clarence Park in its innocence, David, when you were, I don't know, 85 and I was 10, and we were just rocking around the old girl. Brilliant, good times.
That oak tree, it got us into trouble just after the war. Supporters chucking acorns at the goalkeeper. That's what opposition goalkeepers are there for. And even in later years, just before your time again, Lee, he's a Bromley goalkeeper, Nicky Sullivan. He got pelted with acorns as well. He wasn't too happy about it. We had a bit of a love-hate relationship with Nicky. But it's still sad to see the old trees gone. A nice picture of it somebody sent me early this week as well. Still fondly remembered, isn't it?
Mm.
It really is. It has to be said on sort of Twitter and Facebook, etc. It always appears every couple of months someone posts a photo in various football groups, etc. And the amount of comments that you get under it from supporters, normally of other clubs, going, I absolutely love this tree. I miss it so much. I remember going there with XYZ club, most of who are in the Football League now, going, I wish that was still there. I'd love to go there again. So it is. It's a great bit of St Albans City folklore, and I think that shows, football folklore in general. And it's great to see so many people still remember it, and that's why we should always cherish this football club's history, whatever happens.
Let me just put you on the spot, Jay. You mentioned response Hamid has got, the signing of him in Pakistan. What's generally been the social media take after the win against Maidstone?
Positive, I think. I think most people are sort of just great to see how a bit more positivity in the approach. Same as us, really, to be honest. A lot of the comments are also asking where Hamid was and why didn't he come on. It has to be said. So I suspect that's going to be a continuing theme until he starts playing. So welcome to all our new viewers from Pakistan.
Yeah, we might see him quite soon. You never know. Right, so. We don't know. You got anything else?
No, I don't. Go on, Lee. You got something?
Oh no, I was just going to say. So we should have mentioned this last week. And Tabs, don't roll your eyes or tut or smirk or whatever. But the two fellas which form the Saints media team, they were successful in the local Chamber of Commerce Awards night. They both were recognised for their efforts for the club. So Andy and Will, well done, fellas. I know we shared a beer and a few words afterwards. So despite you upsetting Tabs, which I must say is a hobby, it's a very enjoyable one at times as well. So keep that up. But well done, boys. Not everyone gets what you do, but you seem to sort of do it really, really well. So all the best. Cheers.
Yeah, congratulations to both of them. In their acceptance speeches, did we get a credit? On this face, we do most of their work.
First name terms across the board.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well done, Andy. Well done, Will.
It has to be said, winding up Tabs is a bit of a media team sort of tradition, isn't it? It's just following on. Look at his face.
It started with mate. It started with the fanzine. You would not believe the amount of jip he used to give me about the fanzine I used to write. Fuming, absolute fuming. I mean, there was name calling, there was acorn throwing, and it was just everything. Brilliant.
Was that the Saints marching on one day?
Marching on, Tabs. Yes.
Yeah, it was all justified.
Yeah,
Well,
quite
on
right.
that note, if you have any comments about us or Dave, it's at a Podful of Saints on Twitter, email address below. And I think on that note, we will speak to you again next week after Saints pick up 3 more points and progress in the cup. Go on, Dave,
Ooh.
finish us off.
Right, Plymouth. I suspect you two won't be there, and I suspect there'll be very, very few people from Plymouth, from City down at Plymouth on Saturday. We've never played there, but my brother has. About 1971, St Albans Schools played at Home Park, home of Plymouth Argyle. I presume the English Schools Cup, I think it was, on a really muddy pitch, and we lost 1-0. There you go. So we have got a slight connection to Plymouth. It's a bit tenuous.
On that note, Jake, sign us out, buddy. Quick, before you say something else, quick.
We will see you next week. Come on, you Saints. Bye-bye.